Facts about silver. An article produced by Financial Turmoil Explained. Okay, the first fact is the total silver production from prehistory till 2001 is estimated by the U.S. Geological Survey to have been about 1.26 million metric tons, one half of which was mined in the last 62-year period. Production from 2001 till 2005 was 42.97 billion ounces. 3000 BC through 600 BC, 1.8 billion ounces. No, this is written in here wrong. 42.97 billion ounces is the total production, world production. That's not the production from 2001 through 2005. 3000 BC, that's 3,000 years before Christ, through till 600 BC, that's 600 years before Christ, they produced 1.8 billion ounces of silver. 601 BC through 1000 AD, right, a 1600-year period, they produced 2.4 billion ounces of silver. From 1001 AD till 1492 AD, that's roughly 491 years, they produced 3.4 more billion ounces of silver was dug out of the ground. So you notice the production increases in shorter periods of time. From 1493 until 1930. Now we're getting more into the modern era. 14.97 billion ounces was hauled to the ground. Now notice again another production increase. So from 1931, now we're getting interesting because now we're getting right up into our time, right? From 1931 through till 2004. 20.7 billion ounces. So this is where we get the 42.97 billion ounces. Was all these years, all the way up until 2004. So all the way back into prehistory. All the way up till the year 2004. This is where we get the 42.97 billion ounces. This is a total of what they've dug out of the ground. It says the average amount of gold consumed by industry or lost is 11.25%. Now that means that most of the gold's being put away into vaults because they're only losing 11.25% of the gold that's been mined. So most of the gold is staying on the earth and it's not being lost. 44.55 billion ounces of silver. This is an estimate. So see, I've got a couple estimates here, and they're close. The first estimate I got here is 42.97 billion ounces of total production of silver. And this estimate is 44.5 billion ounces total production of silver. But this estimate also includes gold at 4.25 billion ounces of gold. Now this is all of the gold and all of the silver that's ever been produced. You see? That's these numbers. So 4.25 billion ounces of gold to 44.55 billion ounces of silver is roughly a 10-to-1 ratio of coming out of the ground. So you might ask yourself right now, why when you go to buy an ounce of silver and gold, it's been as high as 80-to-1. recently. Right now, I think it's running around 70 to 1. The question is why? Why should if it comes out of the ground at 10 to 1, why should the price be selling at 70 to 1? Okay, so that's something to consider right there. It lists here a 10.5 to 1 ratio in 1929. So in 1929, we had a 10.5 to 1 ratio, gold to silver coming out of the ground. The average price of silver was 40. Now get this, you're going to love this. In 1929, now this is the average price of silver in 1929. You've got to understand this is an average. Guess what it is? 48.8 cents. 48 cents. That's the average price. Now it gets even better because that's the average price. There was a zipping price there, and we're going to get to that in a minute. Government stocks of silver at the end of World War II were 10 billion ounces. Can you imagine? The inventory of silver on the earth at the end of World War II was 10 billion ounces. Now, keep that number in your head. That's a very important number I want you to remember. At the end of World War II, so around 1946 or 1947, along in that area right there, they had 10 billion ounces of silver put away in vaults and stuff. 10 billion ounces. Now, remember that. The United States had 4 billion all by themselves at the end of World War II. By the year 2000, they had weaned that number down because there's a deficit every year. Every year they chomp into that number a little bit. They have to because we're consuming more silver than they're bringing out of the mines, and every year they chomp away at that a little bit. And so by the year 2000, they had chomped it down to 1.5 billion ounces on the earth in above ground inventories. Now this is inventories that's available for sale. If you go in to buy some silver, you're not going to get silver that's been hoarded by people. They're not going to sell it to you because they're keeping it. It's not for sale. What we're talking about here is inventories that they can actually sell. So now I did an article on silver. I talked about J.P. Morgan silver, that he might have as much as 1 billion ounces put away right now. He's been hoarding. I mean, massively hoarding. Most estimates are like 550 million ounces. A lot of estimates, but I'm thinking myself he might have as much as 1 billion ounces because he's getting all he can, and he's not really reporting as much as he has. You're not going to get straight numbers about what he has. So I got these. I speculate a little bit that he's got as much as 1 billion. I might be wrong. Maybe he only has the 550 million that's being reported. But nevertheless, even at 550 million, it's a massive hoard. He ain't going to sell you that silver. He wants to make a profit. He ain't going to sell it to you. So we can't count that as above ground inventories. We have to count the silver that's available for sale that's going to feed the market. That's what we have to count. So what we're counting here is they had it down by the year 2000. They had that 10 billion ounces that was available, and the U.S. had 4 billion ounces. They had it whittled down to 1.5 billion ounces left by the year 2000. And now they've been whittling at it further. Every single year there's a deficit, almost every single year. There's been a few fluctuating years where they didn't go much into deficit, but most years there's a continuous deficit. And especially now, because what's happened just recently is you have an awful lot of people buying the physical precious metals, and that's increasing tremendously. The coin sales are up, bar sales are up, and the amount of surplus metal coming back in, like junk, what they call junk silver, not junk silver, but like forks and spoons and knives and tea sets and stuff like that coming back in for sale is diminishing just tremendously. There's nothing available in that. And even the sales of junk silver is hard to find junk silver. It's in great demand. And so what's happening here is that bar and coin demand is increasing rapidly. Now you've had mining increase in the last few years, but this is getting ready to stall out and drop. So this is another subject. We're going to get back here to what's going on here. So they had it down to 1.5 billion ounces. And every year there's a deficit. Almost every single year there's a deficit now. And this deficit's increasing. I believe it's really going to go. I believe the deficit is really going to go up in the next little while. So now it's more than likely less than 1 billion ounces available. And nobody's giving you any straight numbers on how much is really available right now. And there's reasons why they're not giving you any straight answers on this. But it's less than 1 billion. They've got it down. Now, see, I had 1.5 billion ounces back in the year 2000. But now it's less than 1 billion. It's probably considerably less of available above ground silver to be sold. Less than 1 billion ounces. There's more silver that is not for sale that's being hoarded. But you're not going to be able to buy that. That's silver they're waiting. Those guys are waiting. They're sitting on their stack and they're waiting, and they're not going to let you have that. So forget about that. That's out of the question. And that's being hoarded by these people like J.P. Morgan. So I got another article written here. It says hoarded by the likes of J.P. Morgan, the People's Bank of China, and speculators. And they've bought it, and they're going to go long. They're firm hands. They get the tight grip on the stuff. See, they're not gonna sell into the market. They've been hoarded. They're certainly not going to sell for spot prices, and not for spot prices right now, like we have right now. That they're not significantly higher than the all-in production of the mines. These spot prices we have right now. The miners are struggling. They're having to work into their best ore and their best grades in the mines in order just to keep going. And when you consider exploration and development, these miners are falling backwards. They're not keeping up. The prices aren't high enough. It's not allowing them to explore and develop new mines. It's over. They have to explore and develop new mines because these old mines go offline after a while. What are they going to do? You're going to see a significant drop in mining production. It's coming, boys. Wait for it. It's coming. So there's not going to be much for new reserves because of this. And all the significant, easily available reserves have been found already. They've been everywhere. They've trumped through every last place on Earth, every last crevice, every last hole. They've used modern equipment. They've used sonar into the ground. They've looked for this stuff, and they've found every last significant reserve that's easily mined. And trust me, they've found them all. The whole world's been searched and explored. So what do we face now at this point? At this juncture, what do we face? I'll tell you what we face. We face years of declining production. This is what we face. And we face rising costs of petrol and years of declining production of silver, just to get a lower grade ore up and processed. And so if you've got a brain to think with, you know that this is going to yield significantly higher prices. Even if there's not a shortage of silver, there's still going to be significantly higher prices coming down the pike. And so the thing is there's some facts on silver and silver production. We know that There's significantly more SLV out there in paper silver. If that's what you want, go ahead and buy it. But there's significantly more of that than there is real stuff. And it's supposed to represent the real stuff. And it's kind of reminds me of a game of musical chairs, you know. In this case, you got one real chair, and all of the other are hologram chairs, and you've got 700 people in the room. And when the music stops, all the hologram chairs, when they go to sit down on them, they're going to fall right through and land on the ground. But they look like a real chair. There's only one real chair. The guy that's going to be sitting on that chair is going to be the winner of the game when the music stops. So they're planning to do a number of things. The government to try to stop you, put roadblocks in front of you. One of the things that they're planning on doing is putting a tax. That's what they will do. They will try anyway to put a tax in, a windfall profits tax. I've talked about this before, and they'll probably make it rather significant to try to take all of your profit. When you finally if you are one of the lucky ones that has the real chair, not the holographic chair, not the hologram, and you go to make your profit, you finally go to make your profit, and the government's going to try to come in and take it all away. And they also have other things planned, like they want to get rid of all money, all real money, all cash. I say real money because the money you have in the bank, you think that's real money. That isn't real money. That's why the woman behind the teller won't let you see her screen, or doesn't want you to see her screen. They've told them not to let the customers see the screen. And the reason why is because they don't want you to clue in that it's all just digits on the screen. It's not real money. They have them big vault doors at the bank, and they want to impress you, and they want you to think, oh, they got all your money back in the vault. There's nothing. They don't have any money. They don't have any cash. They just keep enough cash on hand to cover their daily needs, to keep you thinking that they got something back there. It's all just it's no more real than World of Warcraft money. In World of Warcraft, you got your kids playing World of Warcraft, and they got this gold. And the kids are like fighting over it. They're like, I got so much gold. I got 10,000 gold on World of Warcraft. And then no more that money in the banks, no more real. So the government wants to get rid of that too. That's their war against cash. I go to the Walmart store and I see them all, and they got a whole section in there. Half of the Walmart employees teaching people how to use the new machines so that they can get rid of cash. And the new machines are the quick checkouts where they don't even have a person there. They just scan the stuff and you do it yourself. And they're trying to teach everybody how to use those machines so that they can do away with the cash. And then they have a place over there where they do have a cash registers where you can actually pay cash the old-fashioned way. They only man them with about 2 employees because they want you to wait in a big long lineup. They want to punish you because you're using cash. Oh, I know what's going on. You can see it. Anyway, I'm straying from the subject. I know I'm going into a little bit of a rant, and I wanted to talk about silver. And so give me a thumbs up, guys, and subscribe to my channel. And if you like the information you're getting, I try to keep up to date on all the latest news that's coming out of Washington, all the latest news that's coming out of Europe, and all the latest news that's coming out of the Pacific area. If any wars start or anything like that, I'm on top of it, and I'll have it on my channel pretty darn quick. So thank you very much to all my subscribers, and I enjoy your comments. Bye-bye for now.